because when I was streaming on Friday, I was getting a ton of drop frames,
Okay.
which was not good. But it looks like it's stable, which is great. Um, Hello, everybody. We are live. Realized there we go. Now I'm on the splash screen. Welcome to the first Miners recap of Miners Season 5. I am Doof, doing this for a second season, even though I'm technically not a Miners coach anymore. And I'm joined by TruBlu.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going? So, today I figured we'd recap, we'd actually cast one replay. We actually had one guy call in, Ernadar, and request that we take a look at his game, said it was pretty chill. So I think we'll do that first, and then we'll take a look at the week, how it went, and make some predictions for next week. So let's just go to the schedule real quick for Europe, because I think that is where he is.
Yep, it's the Red Velvet Titans. It is the Olympic-style dwarf team. Well, at least the one player on that team.
Yep. Let's see. So, Red Velvet Titans versus Lizard Blizzard. So I'm just going to load up the replay here. I guess technically I spoiled the result here. I probably should have put up a splash screen. I'm still getting better at this. But let me know once you get into the first defense setup, and then we'll count down and synchronize watches.
All right.
You're a little bit cutting out in and out a little bit. I don't know if it's your mic is a little far away or.
Let's see.
That is better.
My Wi-Fi for it. I'm just going to switch to my actual phone. Is it working better?
That's actually much better.
All right. Well, that was the secret.
Is fine. So, cool. Just let me know when you're on set up your team for the Wizards.
Okay. Coin fillet. All right, set up your team.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, unpause. So, just as they set up here, taking a look at this Lizard team, the Skinks look great and the Sauruses look really underdeveloped.
I think that's to be expected with newer coaches, though, because it's kind of hard to find the opportunity to take a risk to level one of these Saurus.
Yeah, and Saurus can just level so painfully slowly if you don't get lucky with dice.
In VPs or something like that.
Yeah. People complain a lot about Black Orcs being 1 in 9 machines before they get blocks. Saurus are the same, but you have 6 of them. As we see kickoff here, and it's inconsequential, changing weather. But it is a touchback. So that is nice for the Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about picking the ball up. And the Dwarf coach has set up to get as many punches as possible on the line.
As he should.
Yep. And we immediately see both Troll Slayers make their dauntless rolls and just start punching away.
I would not be surprised to see if we see a foul on the Crocs here.
Yep, and he wisely chose not to stand firm to make sure that he was not stuck in the middle of a bunch of dwarves.
Yeah, so that was a small thing. Ernadar, I don't know how to say his name. The dwarf coach, he should have just chose the bolt down there, since it would have been in all that if he wanted to get a foul off.
It's true.
I don't know if that's his game plan or not, but...
Dwarves are surprisingly good at fouling for a team that has 70k linemen, so...
Yeah, it is terrifying.
They're so ridiculously TV efficient. But as far as the first turn went, I could have seen this going a lot worse for the Wizards. No damage. He does get one free block on a Longbeard with BAMH1, which he takes. And now he gets his Blitz on a Troll Slayer. which unfortunately doesn't go anywhere, but
Yeah, but it's good to always try to get those armor 8 hits against dwarfs.
yeah, you really want to target the Troll Slayers early, because they tend to be the easiest pieces to take out, and they also tend to be the most dangerous.
Exactly. But if you have a shot on a Troll Slayer, shot on a runner, you tend to take it just because it's hard to get removals against dwarfs anyways.
Yep.
You need all the help that you can get. And then it's just the added bonus of you taking out really quality utility pieces on those teams.
It's true. So the Wizards opted to kind of do the standard Lizard thing, which is base up and trust in Strength 4. Unfortunately, these Dwarves have just so much guard that the Strength advantage gets kind of nullified here. Oh! Okay, so he does commit a reroll to the failed Dauntless, but fortunately he makes the second Dauntless roll, otherwise that was going to be a really bad Frenzy Trap.
Oh, yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'd be terrified throwing that block.
Yeah, so Dwarves can get away with 1-dies more often than most, because they have almost universal block, and these Lizards currently don't, but it's still scary. 1 in 6s happen pretty regularly.
Yeah, it's just like elves. People always say just like, well, elves can do 2+, but they most of the time when they do 2+, they have dodge.
Yep.
There's no free reroll on blocks.
No, there is not. So as we do see the Blitz come in, and it's a Dub Skull, that's unfortunate. So reroll committed, and no armor breaks still on either side. So AV9 doing its thing.
Yes.
The important thing is the Skinks so far have not. The line of Sorai has held firm here. The Skinks have not been threatened, because Dwarves are actually, they have enough tackle to actually threaten the Skinks. Admittedly, Longbeards are movement 4 and Skinks are movement 8, so the Skinks can run away, but if they get caught, it can be really dangerous for them.
Yeah. And all it takes is just a couple of armor breaks on the Lizards, where you have to overexpose the Skink.
Yep.
And then that's when it can start to snowball from there.
Yep. The trade-off of the 7 strength 4 and above pieces is they're the only strength pieces you get. Everything else is strength 2.
Well, it isn't really a trade-off. I'd say the big trade-off is that they have Stunty on their other players that they need to survive to win games.
It's true, but that can be both an advantage and a disadvantage, as we see a really spicy red die there. I actually probably would have followed that up, because now there is a free Saurus in blitzing range of the cage if he decides he wants to take it. He doesn't, though. He's still hunting. Oh! He's still hunting the Troll Slayers as the Bonehead, unfortunately, happens.
Yeah. I think you're just a little bit ahead of me.
Here. I will...
Alright, so just tell me who's about to move.
Morgan Runman just moved.
Morgan Runman.
He's a diving tackle skink.
Diving tackle skink. Sweet.
Yep.
So is he at the finished part of where he is moving?
Yep, and he just threw a block against one of the runners.
Fantastic. I'm almost there.
Yep. So I like this setup a lot better from Gemini Rick, where he's not just basing up everything. Some of his Saurus are actually back, forming a bit of a screen, because now it's actually going to be difficult for the Dwarves to get blocks against them, as opposed to just being able to punch them kind of mindlessly.
Yeah, definitely.
He's taking a lot of 1-dies here. And he finally gets a removal there as Kaz9 gets KO'd.
Kaz9.
It's an unfortunate name for,
Yep.
it's almost like you're tempting fate a little bit with that. As here comes the blitz on a Troll Slayer. He is fine. But already you can see missing one Saurus, and the wizard line is starting to stretch a little bit. Like, there's some holes to the left of the Croxagore now.
100%. That's the thing, is that all dwarfs really need to do is just get one removal here, one removal there, and then they just have pitch control, and it's hard to really counteract that just because there's so much guard, so much AV9, and then Thick Skull to add on top of it, where if you would get a removal, it's still just a stun.
Yeah. There's one Majors coach that named his dwarf team 16 Turns of Headache, and it's kind of accurate.
100% accurate.
As the Crocs is going to go down again. I'm liking what Gemini Rick is doing here with not stand firming when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, I think people fall into the trap where, hey, I have the skill, I need to use it.
Yeah.
Too much.
And stand firm can be great because, ooh, 3+ dodge there to complete the cage. But people fall into the trap of, oh, stand firm is great because I will stay in the same place and I can stand right back up and base people. But
yeah,
sometimes they forget that before they can do that, a boot can come and hit them right in the head. Or in the case of the dwarves, a beer mug.
Yeah. They have probably one of the best fouling animation.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
say
really
them
good.
And the halflings.
Ooh, Longbeard gets taken out here.
And that's really what you need to start to even up the numbers, because if you don't start to get those removals, like you already see it, he's screening with skinks at this point.
Yeah, this is now officially in the danger zone as he is forced to burn his last reroll on a 1 in 9.
Yeah. And it's just, it's so hard with early lizards. It's just because you know that they can get really, really good. It's just without break tackle, the positioning is so difficult for lizards to really protect all the skinks. And I think that's what we're going to see eventually.
Dwarves are kind of a rough matchup for lizards early as well, because all the guard means your strength advantage isn't really there. All the block means your lizards without block are at a disadvantage, and all the tackle means your skinks can't pull stunty, the usual stunty BS that you can pull. As another lizard goes down, and... Ooh.
Did you mention in Dauntless about that? Just because that's also a big part
and
of
Dauntless, that's a good point.
Matchup.
That's a very good point. Dauntless also compounds your problem of not being able to just outstrength your opponent.
Yeah.
So another lizard goes down there.
But at this point, he's 2 turns away from scoring. The lizards have to feel pretty good if they can just set up a good enough screen.
Yep, and he left up the ability to 2-die the ball there, which the wizards happily take and knock down the ball carrier. So that potentially means Ernadar is not scoring this half.
Yeah. Let's see, what's that? 3 plus 4 plus? Oh, 2 tackle zones. I didn't see the other one behind the Crocs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a dwarf behind the ball, or behind the Crocs. Skink does get punched, but he is fine. It's only the runner. And Crocs goes down. I'm trying to see if it would have been possible to do some sort of a chain push with that Saurus, but I don't think it was, to also knock the skink off the ball. But ball goes flying and eventually ends up in not a great scatter for anybody.
Yay, 0-0 at the half.
Yep, so far so dwarf. I should also probably mention, somehow the dwarves have a wizard. I completely didn't notice that. I just assumed the dwarves had the TV advantage, but they did not here.
And that's another thing about... Oh, my... Yeah, just go ahead. That's another thing just about dwarves, is that they're so TV efficient. Yeah, it's a... You give up a lot at the start, but after that, it's just like all the skills that you need are just normals.
Yep. As we see the ball go for a ride again. And that's not helpful. I saw what he was trying to do there, and he still does have the agility 4 skink technically in scoring position, but him pulling all the skinks back looks like he's just conceding that it's going to be 0-0 at the half, and he's just trying to avoid damage.
Yeah. But if you're Lizards, you have to be happy. You got a defensive, a defensive drive off. You lost 2 swords. Hopefully you'll get them back, but just not give. All right, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, so now it's 3 Saurus out, which is tough for sure. Very tough.
Yeah, if they don't come back, this is probably a game that the dwarfs can win just because they have a wizard, they'll have the strength advantage, and they have the tackle.
Yep. Oh, and looks like Ernadar was hoping for the surf, didn't notice the sidestep on Morgan Runman, but still got the knockover and got the stun. And that does take care of the scoring threat, so... Not that I think they could have broken through the cube of dwarves here, but...
You never know. I've seen crazier things happen.
It's true. As just a few more punches, no further damage. So now halftime, the rolls, the KO rolls are gonna probably decide this game here.
Yeah, 100%. They're gonna decide the game.
Yeah. Ooh. Only 1 came back for the Wizards. Let me know when you get to set up your team again. Let's just resync, because I think you're a little bit behind me.
I 100% am. I don't know how it gets so behind.
Replay casting is always tricky for that reason, because it goes at different speeds on different machines. But it is what it is.
That's crazy. So I might set up your team for the Lizards.
Okay.
Not the Wizard. Yeah, the Lizards, yeah.
I might set up your team for the Dwarves.
Yeah, so it's just the offensive drive I'm set up for.
Okay. Let me go ahead then for a second until the Wizards are ready to set up.
I'm really intrigued about the elf screen because he's leaving open holes.
Yeah, it's I see what he is trying to do here, but he's left a pretty big gap down the middle.
He's left a gap down the middle. He's left a gap down the right sideline for Blizzards.
Yep. All right, I'm at set up your team for Lizards, so 3, 2, 1, unpause.
Cool.
So Lizards could potentially just sort of bash right down the middle, widen that gap, and maybe devote 1 or 2 pieces to try and tie up the dwarves on the sidelines. If you can get 1 Saurus on each of those lines of dwarves on the left and right side, you've got 2 pieces tying up 4, which will go a long way towards helping with the player disadvantage you have.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to say is that I think if Lizards just say, all right, we're down 2 players, let's try to score early, see if those guys come back and just play defense that way.
It looks like that's exactly what they're doing, so...
Perfect.
Crocs is getting involved. Unfortunately,
I don't like that Croc.
that block and that block is punishing him for that. I think the
Yeah, and ball is super exposed.
Yep. Fortunately, it's dwarfs, so they can't do too much about it. But I'm thinking more if you would put the Crocs on the Troll Slayer there, right behind where he is, and tied up those two players, and just left, what's his name, Crisper to get hit, it would have been much better for you. But as it stands now, he gets to skink hunt.
Yeah, I think the exact same. I was just thinking, tie up those two players in the back end. You go up the left flank, which what he was trying to do. Just try to score early.
Yep. And I am really liking Ernadar's positioning here. He's just getting in the way, tying up as many pieces as possible, not giving up too many blocks in return. As we...
Yeah,
ooh. That... Well, he got lucky there. The 1 in 9 happens, but fortunately the scatter is good, and Morgan Runman just catches the ball right back, so it does not count as a turnover, because the ball did not hit the ground.
You have to kind of count your blessings there, but
Yeah.
man, 2 1 in 9s to really screw an offensive drive to start off with. He
Technically
still has
3,
the wizard.
if you count
Yeah,
that he
3.
re-rolled 1 in 9 into a 1 in 81, so
Yeah.
that is highly unfortunate. I can't see chat. I should... Sometimes it does not load properly. Let me reload that. But, yep. The only downside here is it's a skink screen, and Longbeards are starting to get involved with the skink screen.
Yeah, and that is just worst case scenario.
Yep. The only thing skinks really have going for them is dodge and stunty, and Longbeards just muck up both of those with tackle.
Yeah. I will say that Morgan Runman being AG4, you can still pull off some pretty BS stuff with him.
Oh yes, Agility 4 skinks are silly, but you can't do any of the standard skink, like I'm just going to dodge through your line like it's nothing, without being prepared to commit some rerolls.
Yeah, and it's hard when you've already committed 2 rerolls and 2 turns to start off the half.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a great spot for the Wizards.
I also really like the positioning of Lucky Pete. How he's at the very outside, he's not going to get hit. And if they try to flip the field, he's very easily going to be able to flip with them.
Yep. He does get based up, but the skinks do skink things, so it looks like the score is likely to happen at this point, and he's willing to... Oh! But guess what I completely forgot about?
The wizard.
Oh, and that's an injury. And it's an M&G into an M&G. Oh, that's rough.
Yep,
Well,
the wizard happens.
and now we learn a very valuable lesson about sideline caging when your opponent has a wizard, as the ball just scatters into the crowd and then scatters into space.
Yeah. This is kind of the same lesson that Tetsuya learned during the championship. His sideline cages are very risky.
Yep. Sideline cages are if you have no other option. Oops.
Yeah, which I feel like
Ooh!
the Wizards are starting to like that.
As we see, after burning the Apo earlier in the turn, Hind 3, his armor finally breaks, and it breaks in a big way.
Yes, it does.
Oof.
Oh my gosh. The Lizards, this is just salt in the wounds again and again and again. Lucky Pete, that's his ball now.
Oh, more than his ball. He then, just to add insult to injury, Ernadar makes a 3+ patch into a 3+ catch, and 2 GFIs immediately afterwards. Just to ensure.
Oh my gosh.
And I will say, I do not think those were necessary, but
I think he was looking at the possible Saurus on the right flank. You don't know what's going to happen with that, so he just wanted to get as far up as he can. Also
True.
get away from all those skinks.
As we do see the Saurus comes down as a safety. Unfortunately, without break tackle, it's going to be tough. He can just base up that Saurus and then run into the corner. And a 5+ dodge is his best option, as tackle does a thing. He saves the reroll. But yeah, the Wizards team is unfortunately just falling apart here.
Yeah. 3 ones in a row. That is just a sad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty much worst case scenario for the Lizards. You're down a Saurus that was leveled.
Yeah.
Your M and G, your best scheme. 2 of your Saurus didn't get up from KOs. This was just a lot of bad things happening back to back to back.
Yeah,
it just snowballed.
Whoever plays Gemini Rick next is going to be saying thank you to Ernadar for this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be
I
fair,
feel like the same way. I played my game against Capone, Cat,
yeah.
and I killed a few things. I MNG'd quite a few things, so his next opponent should love me.
Yep. And to be fair, I should say I do not think Gemini Rick has played this poorly. He stopped the score on his own drive. He almost broke through the lines. His one critical mistake was forgetting about the wizard and sideline caging. If he had moved that skink, that whole cage, just one space away from the sideline, even when the wizard happened, it would have been recoverable for the Wizards.
Yeah, 100%. It still would have been difficult, but it wouldn't be the situation that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
So right now, I think if you're the Lizards, you're just praying for a Saurus to get a lucky Kaz, get some SPP,
Yeah.
try to preserve some skinks.
The dwarves are just going to cage up in the center of the pitch. There's not really going to be much that CRISPR can do about it. Like, I think you still blitz a cage corner just to maybe potentially get a lucky Kaz, and also just in case his dice go horribly, horribly wrong. As we see another attempt, this time with 2 GFIs, and again he gets a POW on a sidestepper. And an injury.
Movement 9 skink.
Yeah. So I don't think that was the best blitz you could have done, but you also weren't punished for it. But generally, taking 2 GFIs to blitz like a random skink on the sideline without tackle or mighty blow isn't gonna do that. But at the same time, it totally worked, so what do I know?
And I don't agree with doing that blitz and then not facing the ball. You try to force as many dice as possible. Who knows? Maybe it's a 1 in 296 or whatever, and dump skulls.
That was an unnecessary GFI, but dwarves, he has 3 rerolls, so he's able to use 1. And it looks like Gemini Rick is just conceding. He's not standing his players up. He's just hoping that they don't foul them.
Yeah. In which sometimes that works, but then there's other players that will just be like, well, if your players are on the floor, I'm going to foul them to death.
Yeah.
I know Lufish would do that 100%.
That is something that is a completely legitimate way to play the game. And, like, yeah, especially when you get to majors, there are quite a few coaches who will take every opportunity to foul your team out of existence.
Yeah, it completely fair to do so for them.
Yep. Oh my. That is insult to injury at this point. No mighty blow,
I'm
too.
a little bit behind you, but I'm just expecting that's going to be a terrible burn.
Yep, I think you are a little bit behind as Calgan the Grumpy is going to run it in.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
that is rough. Dwarf
I
cheerleaders.
feel for you, man.
Yeah,
So you lost a developed source and a source that was about to level.
yeah, that is about the worst way to start the minors you could hope for. So Gemini Rick is the Nylock of this season. Nylock being a coach who was in the minors, great dude. But his team started out looking great and then just got curb stomped in the first couple weeks of the season, and then he spent the entire season rebuilding. But it could have been worse. We do have Ryan Reynolds, the Blodge Skink, gets a level, so that's a good piece to get a level on. Unfortunately, that's the only SPP Rick got, and the Red Velvet Titans got a ton. And I'm starting to think I know why Ernadar wanted us to cast this game.
Yeah, I think it was totally selfish reasons.
We love you, man. But taking a look at the D6s, actually pretty standard luck across the board for Gemini Rick. Nothing too unfortunate. He actually straight up wake up after KO, 50%, bonehead, 83%. It's about exactly what you'd expect. The Titans got a little bit luckier with 18 sixes to 12 ones and 23 pows to only 9 skulls. I just pulled those up. That was great timing. Blizzard got pretty average block dice, but
oh my gosh.
That is
all right, so the blocks are basically POWs for you.
That is a game.
Defender stumbles are POWs for you, and the POWs are POWs for you.
Yep.
The fact that you only have 33 bad dice and what's that, 54 good dice, that is insane.
It's great luck. I would even say it's 33 good dice, or 54 good dice, 9 bad dice, and 24 neutral dice. Because pushes are, I mean, they're not good or bad.
They're not bad, but
you don't
it's
really
just
like them.
Just to create effect. It's still, even if you add those neutral into the bad,
yeah,
you still completely outweigh it.
Oh yeah, it's no. Well, congratulations to Ernadar. That is certainly a way to start off a campaign.
Yeah,
that is a great start to the season for him. Commiserations to Gemini Rick, because I really don't think he played that all that poorly.
No.
I think at the beginning he was basing up a little too much, but to his credit, he recognized and corrected midway through his defensive half. And on his offensive half, he did everything right to get a chance to score. The only thing that he did wrong was stand a little too close to the sideline when his opponent had a wizard in hand. But those are the things that you need to learn sometimes the hard way. So
yeah,
it was.
And looking at it, he actually had enough money to replace both lizards, both Sorai that died.
Oh, that's
it's not all bad.
That is huge for him. So
yeah,
taking a look at his team. Yeah, he'll miss Morgan Runman in the next game, but he's got a Movement 9 Skink and a Blodge Skink, so he won't miss him that much. And, yeah, really the big problem is he's now sitting on 4 Rookie Saurus, which is going to take a little while to grind back up, but he will have the chance to do that, and yeah.
He'll have the chance to do so, and it'll be... Like, what's his schedule looking like? The Lizard Blizzard, who are they playing next week?
Well, let's before we take a look at next week, or we'll take a look at that real quick. He's playing Joker's Legion, which is
a Necro.
Ooh, so Claw is not going to be fun, but
yeah, and I think he has enough money to induce Wilhelm. So good luck.
It'll be a tough match, but at the very least, it won't be nearly as much Mighty Blow and nearly as much Tackle, so he will be...
Yeah, the Skinks are going to have a much easier time. You should, in theory, be able to bully the zombies.
You can also... you can get into a shootout with Necro as lizards, and getting into a shootout with Necro as lizards is probably where he wants to go, considering he's probably going to struggle to win the straight-up bash fight. But
yeah.
On that note, though, let's take a look at Europe since we're here. Let's just take a look at the other games that happened this week. Speaking of Joker's Legion, they kicked off their campaign pretty well. They have a 2-0 win over the Old New York Sewer Rats.
Yep.
Over the course of which...
Sewer Rats, who do they have? That's the team with the 2 Agi 5 gunners.
So that's extremely impressive. Although
Yeah.
I'm seeing from the MVP, one of those Agi 5 gunners has leveled. So I'll just take a look and see what he got.
He has strip ball.
Oh, that is a filthy piece.
Yeah, you just give him leap now, and he's the most annoying piece on the field at any given time.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah, you give him leap for sure. I think tackle, and potentially if you get a double, you could give him horns, so he's blitzing on strength 3, and just being even more obnoxious.
Yeah. But, oh my, that is just the most annoying piece I can imagine right now.
Yep, he'll be looking for revenge next week definitely, and he's got just another tool in the box. Next up, Hell's Doofuses and the Blacklisters Union. And
this game just finished earlier today. It was a whole lot of nothing.
It's a chaos off, and it looks like the chaos just slapped each other a lot, and not too much happened.
It's a gentleman's agreement to not kill each other.
Looks like they got 1 casualty apiece. Hopefully not anything permanent, but yeah. Sometimes that happens when you get kill team versus kill team. They just fail to do anything to each other because they're both playing a little too cautious, trying to protect their pieces.
And it's surprising too, because looking at the teams, the Blacklisters Union, they have amazing development. The Chaos Warriors, if you remember.
Yep, they do.
And they also had 2 Claw Mighty Blow pieces.
Ooh.
And nothing happened.
It's true.
And then you look at Hell's Doofuses, Yorick, he also had a Claw Mighty Blow piece, and nothing happened.
It does happen from time to time. Claw Mighty Blow only works if you're able to roll a 7, and sometimes you just can't. Next up, though, we have Lavender Town Library 2-1 over the Sadomasochrists. And Omastar Wild cops the MVP and a level, and Helmet steals the MVP for the Sadomasochrists. So that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody will beat Lavender Town Library.
It's a really scary Dark Elf team.
That is probably a team that you consider for the championship already.
Yeah,
unless something terrible happens.
Omastar Wild is now Agi 5 dodge, so he's even more annoying to knock over.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great team. What did the Sadomasochrists? They are human. Okay.
Yeah, they're the human team that needs a little bit of a rebuild.
Yeah, so, I mean, kind of an expected result if he's taking this as a rebuild season. He did do pretty well to score once, and unfortunately just doesn't look like he got any levels out of it, but as far as his money situation goes, he now has 230k in the bank, so he can replace some players. So he's got to be pretty happy about that. Next up, Knobbly Knights and Clan Nibblers.
A Roger died.
Yep.
That's about all the worst things that happen for the Clan Nibblers, but at the same time, the Roger at this point where you have some development on your blitzers isn't the worst thing that can happen. It's actually pretty good for you.
You could argue that the Roger actually dying improved his team, because that takes a lot of the bloat out of it.
100%.
And, I mean, 5 touchdowns, you are not unhappy with that. So, commiserations
the only thing that you can be unhappy about on the team is that you don't have the cool gutter runner levels like other people do. Like, you have natural 1 turn, but you don't have any Agi 5 ones.
Yeah, the natural 1-turner is nice, and needs to die. But he does have Claw on a Storm Vermin now. I don't remember if he had that before, so that is nice.
That is nice, and he has a deep bench, he has a dirty player. That is just an insane team to play against. Good luck.
Yeah, you're fitting a lot into this team. I see he picked up Roger Memorial Thrower, so he has the thrower now. um, which is pretty good. And then Lizard Blizzard and Red Velvet we talked about, and Rat Street Boys and Morporkian Misdemeanors. The Morporkian Misdemeanors took that 1-0. So
Yeah.
Skaven
So,
either having a really great time this week or a really bad time this week.
Yeah. And it looks like the Rat Street Boys are just the one team that just doesn't have the right development.
Yep.
That's probably the weakest Skaven team, and it sucks just
Oof.
because
It looks like
all it takes is one level.
It looks like they've taken some punishment for sure. Just taking a
Yeah.
look at this, like 2 of those gutter runners are rookies. That probably means they're new, because gutter runners just build SPP so easily. One of the vermin hasn't gotten going. The other vermin hasn't rolled the double yet. He doesn't have much of a bench. Like, it's not in great shape, but he has some tools here that he can use. And if he gets just claw on a storm vermin, or one of the runners rolls an agi up or a movement up, I think he'll be in a good spot. Because Skaven are one of those teams where all they need is that one piece.
Yep, 100%. And then looking at the human team, it
Let's take a look.
just
Where are they?
looks like a human team. You got some guard.
There
You
they are.
want more guard. You want to develop a killer, but overall,
I would
it's a
assume
pretty good human team.
Yeah, I would assume Grebo will become the killer once he gets his next level. He'll take either piling on or tackle, and then the level after that, he'll take the other one.
Yeah. And then Sam Vimes, you want him to level pretty much as quickly as possible to get some guard, or hopefully a stat up, just because humans start to plateau about now if you don't get stats.
Yep, it's true. Still a nice human team as it stands right now, just needs that little bit more, I think.
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of an extra push, and then we're looking really good.
Yep.
Humans represent. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, we'll take a look at some more human teams in a little bit, but let's take a look at next week in Europe first. So next week, as we talked about, Lizard Blizzard has Joker's Legion. Joker's Legion is going to be very happy about that, and
Oh yeah.
Lizard Blizzard's still giving up a ton of inducement money to Joker's Legion as well. I think Joker's is only 10-10.
It's a 1 game old. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there you go. So he will be... Yeah, he will be... I guess the one thing that the Wizards do have going in their favor is it's not like there's any ridiculous development on the Necro that they have to watch out for. So no Mighty Blow Wolves, the Flesh Golems are fresh, they don't have blocks, so there's no, like, guard white. He can actually outstrength this team, but I still feel like with probably Cheney and possibly more going to be fielded against him, and 3 claw pieces are eventually going to go to work, even without Mighty Blow.
It's going to be rough. You just got to pray to Nuffle that he doesn't screw you as much as he did this week.
Yep. If the Agi4 Skink was around, I'd tip this in the favor of Lizard Blizzard just because no tackle. But he isn't, so I think it's going to be Joker's Legion in, I'll say 3-2. I think they'll get into a little bit of a shootout, but...
I actually like Joker's Legion in a 2-1 victory.
You think standard 2-1 grind?
Standard 2-1 grind, I think Joker's Legion with Wilhelm, with their current werewolf, they have enough movement to really keep them away. It's just going to be one random score that Skink will get.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the movement 9 piece.
Definitely. Alright, next up, Rat Street Boys versus Knobbly Knights. Both are coming off losses, I believe. Both are coming off losses. And
this is probably another game where Rat Street Boys are just praying, because Bluefish, he's going to foul them. His blitzers, he has 2 doubles, so he has 2 Mighty Blow pieces and a Mighty Blow tackle.
Oof.
This is a team where he's going to get fouled a lot. He also has the pieces that can kill them. Rat Street Boys are just, they need to survive somehow.
Yep, they're going to have 1 loner, so they'll be up to 1280 versus Knobbly Knights will be at 1350, so they don't really get a huge amount in inducements. Like, a Babe will probably help, but I could easily see the Bretts just kind of rolling over them by sheer weight of numbers.
Yeah.
So I tip Knobbly Knights there, probably 2-1 as well, because it's tough to stop Skaven from scoring entirely, but
Yeah.
if he doesn't have enough pieces to defend, then you can easily outscore him.
I think this is probably going to be a draw at 1-1, just because I know Lufish, all he sees is blood in his... he just has blood in his eyes. He's going to see a down gutter on turn 16, and he's going to foul him instead of going for the touchdown.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be.
That sounds about right. Oh, man. That does... I will try to cast this game if it's playing at a time when I can, because ever since I've seen the names of the Knobbly Knights, I've known that I really want to cast them.
Yeah, they are just fantastic. The Crippler getting Dirty Player.
That he's happy about that.
That's fantastic.
He is.
I don't think he'll... Movement 7 lineman.
I don't think he'll level anything else on linemen after this except Dirty Player, and then just cycle them. Or
yeah,
more.
Just only Dirty Players.
Yep.
And you have the Blitzers to knock them down.
Yep. Lavender Town Library versus Morporkian Misdemeanors. I gotta think that Lavender Town Library is just going to be able to run over this team.
Yeah.
Without a really dedicated killer piece to hopefully knock some elves out, and just the fact that Lavender Town Library has a bench, even.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things where there's no killer, there's no tackle.
Yeah.
This can be easily a 4-1 game, in my mind.
This, I think 3-1 will be. I do think Lavender Town Library can run up the score, but it'll be tough for Morporkian Misdemeanors. They'll have to get really lucky with removals early and just be able to control the pace of the game, which is really difficult to do against elves.
Yeah, 100%.
Next up,
and it's just.
Go ahead.
Just looking at that team, I don't know how you're going to beat them if you don't have at least one tackle.
Yeah.
Because there's so many blodgers. There's so many Agi 5.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, next up we have Red Velvet Titans versus Hell's Doofuses. So Ernadar's Dwarfs are taking on one of the Chaos teams. So this does introduce Claw into the mix, but it's only one Claw piece, which I don't think is going to be enough versus Mass Guard AV9.
Yeah,
and
I think this is probably... That's a bad matchup for Chaos.
It's Chaos. The way that you can beat Chaos as AV9 teams is just focus on the goats, because they're only AV8, so your Mighty Blow will actually hurt them. And if you can just knock them down and get them down players, eventually just the sheer weight of your guard is going to make it difficult for him to do anything.
Yeah.
So I think
this is a tough game.
I think Red Velvet Titans 1-0, because it is dwarves, and they don't run up the score easily.
They don't, but I just look at that team and just, if they can get offense first, this could be a 2-0 game in my mind.
Very easily. I agree with that. Next up, we have a Skavenoff, Clan Nibblers versus Old New York Sewer Rats. Which one is more ridiculous, I think, is the question here.
Well, there's a natural one-turner on one side and then 2 Agi 5 on the other, so take your pick.
It's just so silly. It's just so silly. I gotta believe in the natural one-turner, I think. It's just such a weapon, especially this early when people don't really have a way to counter it. But Agi 5 is Agi 5, so I could very easily see
Agi 5
that.
is Agi 5, but I have to go with the one-turner as well, just because you can bench him. You don't have to worry about him getting hit. You have a dirty player. You have a bench.
Yeah.
Just go remove some players, let them score. You score again.
Yep.
Like,
as long as you score first when you have a natural one-turner, you are just in the driver's seat. As long as your natural one-turner doesn't fall over. Sadomasochro... Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying that could be a shootout. That could be like a 5-3 game.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna pick a score because it could be anything there. I think Clan Nibblers will take that. Finally, we have Sadomasochrists versus Blacklisters Union. So that is Chaos versus Humans.
Yeah.
And they're actually pretty close in TV, but that's a lot of Claw Mighty Blow.
That is a lot of Claw Mighty Blow. But there's
And-
enough Mighty Blow on the human side that it isn't terrifying if you can just get a couple lucky removals.
Yep.
But those Chaos Warrior development, I think that's going to put Blacklisters Union over the top.
Yep. And then one of the humans is carrying a Niggle, one is carrying an Armor Bust. They are not healthy, and Chaos can feast on that. So I think it's if the humans want to win, they're going to have to play kind of an elf game around it, like not basing using your built-in pass and catch skills to pass around the Chaos and score fast, and then play more of a screening defense. But eventually, Claw Mighty Blow collects its due, you know? And
yeah, 100%. I think this is a 2-1 grind, Blacklisters Union.
I think so, too. Cool, so that's it for Europe. I do have to jump off in a little bit here, so we'll jump right into Americas. First, let's recap the week. So how many of these did you get a chance to watch? I don't know if anyone was able to stream or got streamed, but...
I caught a little bit of the Chorf off. My 0-0 game, I saw, obviously.
Yep.
And then the rest of them I didn't really catch.
Gotcha. Cool, so we'll just go down the list. First up, Balthor's Bashers and Nuffle's Unfavored had a 1-1 draw. So Dwarves and Wood Elves, and...
I see a leveled War Dancer and I want to kill him.
Yep,
okay.
That's a War Dancer. So the Dwarves played their game well. It looks like they had 68% ball possession, so they held it. They scored probably slowly down their half. And then the Wood Elves just grabbed it, scored fast, and the Dwarves couldn't score again, is my guess as to how this game went. But...
It was like, oh no.
Oh yes?
Mr. Ball Hog
Hold on.
has a double. He has Mighty Blow.
Oh, that is such a nice piece now.
Oh gosh.
So
not only will he leap into a cage and knock down your ball carrier, he is gonna kill him too.
Yep. He did pay for it, it looks like, with a move bust and an MNG, but... Or actually 2 MNGs.
I would take those for...
Yeah.
I'd take them.
So, yeah, Mighty Blow on War Dancers is just incredible. Absinthe Minded is very happy with a tie there.
Oh yeah. Because he just gets a lot better.
Oh, yeah. The next one's a bit of a surprise. College champion Tetsuya went down to Salty Chips 1-0. So the Undead losing out to the Dark Elves there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, I'm not terribly surprised. Just because Salty Chips, I know he's a good coach. And then Tetsuya, it looks like it's just a tough game.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it was just it was a grind out where Salty Chips was able to score on his drive and Tetsuya just was not, so...
Yeah.
And Gray
and
just
it's a grind out,
leveraging...
but the Dark Elves were able to outbash the Undead. That is kind of intense.
That is surprising, definitely. Yeah, 38-37, so not too much, but it looks like the armor breaks that the Chips did get stuck around more. 6 KOs, 2 injuries, and a kill, so... or no, I have that backwards. The Old World Wardens inflicted more damage, but Salty Chips were able to just elf around it, it looks like.
Yeah. And Salty Chips, they still have a very good team. They have... Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
the Agi 5 thing is just too terrifying for me.
Agi 5 is just a ludicrous drug. It's so silly. It's
Yeah.
And then a Movement 8 Blitzer too. Dark Elves aren't actually super... They're not as fast as other elf teams, and having at least one Movement 8 piece is just huge for them.
100%.
Yep. Next up, you got Teenage Bottle Rocket and Winged Centaurs. I think this is the match you caught a little bit of, the Chorfoff. And
Yeah, it's the Chorfoff.
it ended as you expect a Chorfoff to end. One team finally broke through and scored. um,
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
It's.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, unfortunate that the Hobgoblin hogged the MVP and leveled, because already having block, I don't know what else you would give him, but, you know, you still win, so not too upset.
Yeah, you can't be too upset, and it's just, that was a lot of not death for so many claw pieces.
It's true.
I was really paying attention to this game being played just because I was thinking to myself, I was looking at the schedule, and I don't play the Chorfs until later into the season, so if there was just like one or two big deaths, it's like, okay, it might be an easier game, but nope, they're both pretty much healthy.
Yep. And I'm looking at the SPP, and that Hobgoblin who leveled actually got 10 SPP that game, so he put in a shift.
Yeah.
Which is
he earned
silly.
the MVP.
He did. Next up, Bifrost Guardians. So the Norse go down 0-2 to Lizards.
Yeah. This was a game where Norse couldn't do Norse things, and this is what we talked about earlier in the season when we were doing our preview, where the Norse don't really have a lot of kill skills.
Yep.
They threw 54 blocks, only got 2 injuries. That's just not enough, and it makes sense that Lizards were eventually able to lizard and skink around, and they won.
It sucks when AV9 doesn't break and you're only allowed to hit the Saurus. You're not allowed to hit the tasty skinks at the back, but yeah, without Mighty Blow to at least hopefully even the odds a little bit, it can be really challenging. Especially when the Wizards start to get blocks, block on their Saurus, so you can't just leverage the block advantage that Norse get at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
it looks like there was one action that the Yeti messed up, and he wanted a loner, and loner didn't work.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Yetis are especially early, unless you get block on them, they're just really tricky to use properly, because Frenzy plus Loner is an incredibly dangerous skill combination. And then next up is your game. So talk about your game a little bit.
So my game, it was a lot of crazy things happening. Let me jog my memory real quick. I was out bashing them. I got a good amount of SPP. What's that? 1, 3, 4, 5 injuries. I killed a witch. It was the Juggernaut Witch.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked that piece, but still, killing that is good.
Yeah, I like it too, but a random lineman decided that he didn't like it, so I would take that any day of the week.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then it was just, I was a little bit too loose. I was playing just kind of a screening game, and the Elves got behind. They knocked the ball loose. I wasn't able to score in the first half. And then in the second half, it was, that's when the craziness happened, where I had a blitz. I had a 75% chance to catch that blitz. I didn't catch it, and it landed in the perfect square for him to pick it up and run away.
Yeah. That
and then,
I see that he has named his replacement Witch Elf Pain, so I think he's a little upset.
Yeah. He's a little bit upset, but at the same time, it's just like I had a wizard because I was under team value. I kind of scummed it a little bit, put in some money, and it rolled a 1.
Yeah. Wizards are great, as we saw in the replay we cast earlier, but they're not guaranteed. And yeah, sometimes they do nothing, and then you have to figure out a way to play around it.
Yeah, and then the craziest part was turn 16, where he won in 36th to score.
Oh.
Potentially. Yeah. So I had a chance to win it on turn 16, but to no avail.
That's unfortunate. But, yeah. That's Blood Bowl also, so...
Yeah, so it was both of us having bad luck that turned into a 0-0 game.
Yep. But at the same time, you got some development out of it, and you murdered his team. So, um,
Yeah,
could have.
Dead Elf is a good elf. I lost my kicker. He also leveled, so I haven't fired him yet, just because I'm debating on whether or not I want to keep him.
Have you rolled it yet, or?
Yeah, I rolled it, and it's just it's going to be a kick dirty player if I keep him, so he has more value on the pitch.
What was the injury? Was it niggle or?
It is a niggle.
Yeah, that's. I would keep him, but I would train up. I would, well, if you decide not to keep him, you do have King, who is also leveled up and could take kick to immediately replace him. So.
And that's where I'm struggling right now.
Yeah. Given that you already have a dirty player, I would say I'd get rid of him because he's going to be a liability. But if you want to keep him for a little bit until other players get more development, you could also do that. Just be aware that he then stands a chance of hogging MVPs and other things that could go to a player you're not going to eventually fire. So,
yeah. It is a tough choice for me, and I just go back and forth. It's just like, hey, I can keep them, and then I can just build more utility pieces, or just can them and just go with what I have.
Exactly. And last but not least here, we have the Rebel Orcs got Skavened.
Yeah, that happens.
Yep, Fluffy Fighting Force. I'm trying to remember if I tipped the Orcs to win this one, and if I did, I think this is just another point why you can never count out a Skaven team, no matter what. They will find ways to score on you.
I don't know if you tipped the Orcs to win this one, but I see a piling on rats that I don't. Holy crap! 71 blocks and you lost 3-1.
Yeah, that is rough.
Oh my gosh.
22 armor breaks. Normally, you would expect there to be not much left, but of those 22 armor breaks, it looks like only 9 were removals. So, not the greatest removal rate, which means that the Fluffy Fighting Force was able to run all over him. And I would assume probably those KOs kept coming back.
Oh my gosh, that is insane.
Yep.
To have 22 armor breaks against you and you still have a pretty solid team, and you won, there's nothing more that you can want as Skaven. Like, yeah. I'm sure it's a frustrating game, but you won. You don't have crazy.
Oh, pain is just for pain. Okay, so Modest Karma, who is Angra, is not Angra. Who was Blitzyrix? Cap is saying that he's not too salty about it. We'll leave that to the salty chips.
Yeah.
Cool. Next week, let's take a look. So, Teenage Bottle Rocket versus Balthor's Bashers. That's going to be a Chorf versus Dwarf, so a little bit of a grudge match there.
I think I'd have to favor the Chorfs there. They have some claw.
Generally, if the Chorfs have claw, you favor the Chorfs. If the Chorfs do not have claw, you favor the Dwarfs. But even then, not that much, because Chorfs just are, honestly, in my opinion, kind of a better dwarf team, because they're a dwarf team with tools, that beyond just, I'm going to punch you in the face until you fall over.
Yeah, but they are severely outguarded. The dwarf team has a lot more guard. They have enough mighty blow. I can see where Balthor's Bashers wins, but I can also see where just Claw takes over.
Yeah, I think it will depend on removals, as it often does in these Bash v Bash matchups. Whichever team starts falling apart first is usually the team that loses the game. But
yeah, I think that this is only a one touchdown game, if that.
Yep, I think Teenage Bottle Rocket will take it, or it will be a 1-1 tie.
Okay, I was thinking 0-0 tie, or one of the teams just removes enough players and they would 1-0. I don't know who's going to remove enough players, though.
Yeah. whoever wins the toss definitely gets a little bit of an early edge there.
Oh yeah.
Next up, Tetsuya is going to go up against Urban Dyer with Lizards Anonymous, and he'll be looking to get back on track.
That's the coach. I believe that's the coach that beat him in the rookie season or the college season.
Oh, really? So a little bit of there's a little bit of history there too. So
yeah, this was the one coach to beat him during the college season, and they are coming back. Tetsuya just lost his second game ever in the minors, so.
Yep. So I think this will be a fun one to watch. So Lizards Anonymous is a good team. It just needs more source development, and but it is relatively TV efficient. He could fire a couple skinks to really get an edge if he wanted. And then Old World Wardens, we've seen them. They are just a pretty good undead team. They've got everything they want, including Mr. Skeletal now has Sneaky Git, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah, easily my favorite player.
Yep.
On that team.
I forget if he had that before, but if he did, I didn't remember, and he's still my favorite thing.
Yeah, Mr. Skeletal's everybody's favorite thing.
Yep. Well, I think Tetsuya will both take revenge, because I think he's got a few more tools at this point than the Wizards do, but as with all Lizard games, sometimes they just don't break, and they're strength 4, and you can't do anything about it. So,
yeah.
We will... I favor Old World Wardens 1-0, I think.
I think that he's going to get a bit of revenge. It's going to be a good old 2-0. I'm taking a little bit of that Agi 4.
Yeah, it very well could be. I think it'll all depend on how much Lizards break, I think, as to how much he's going to win by. Next up, Blitzy Ricks and Nuffles Unfavored. So that's a good old-fashioned elf-off. Wood Elves and Dark Elves.
And they're the exact same TV once you factor in loners.
Oh, yes. Once you factor in loners, they're exactly the same TV. So.
Yep.
Wow. Generally,
this is a tough one to call.
I would think the Wood Elves would have the advantage just due to War Dancers being incredibly good.
Yep.
If I had to choose between Witch Elves and War Dancers, I'd take the Dancer every single time. So I think unless Wood Elf armor proves to be made of paper early on, I think Nuffles Unfavored wins this, and even if he gets some early removals, the Wood Elves are still just better at scoring touchdowns than the Dark Elves are.
100%.
Just as a team.
And I think that's where you just struggle. If he had his bench, sorry, Cat. But if he had his bench, I'd probably favor the Dark Elves here. But being each team 1450, each team has some loners. I think just a couple of lucky removals, and you also have a tree. Strip Ball War Dancer with Mighty Blow. Yep. It's just, I have to go with the Wood Elves here.
Yeah. Both of them are probably very happy they have an elf off as opposed to another bash team to recover a little bit.
100%.
Yep. Speaking of Agi contests, next up, Salty Chips get Fluffy Fighting Force. So they get to go head-to-head. What does Fluffy Fighting Force have in terms of Skaven? Oh, they're playing right now. Oh, my.
Jeez.
Fluffy Fighting Force doesn't have much.
No, but he has a piling on Mighty Blow thing.
Yep. Oh, man, if they're playing right now, I wish I had more time to stream it, because I would dive right into that, but I am going to have to wrap this up in about 15 minutes, so, oh, man, that's a bummer.
That's fair. Sorry for my terrible schedule.
No, it's all good. I don't think it would have mattered if we'd started this earlier, because it still would be, they'd still be playing now, so.
Fair enough.
Let's really quickly make a completely uneducated guess as to who's going to win. I think it's going to be Salty Chips.
I agree. Salty Chips. I'm just going with him. I haven't played Fluffy Fighting Force. I don't know how good he is. I played Salty Chips twice. I know he's a good coach, and I'm just going with who I know is a good coach in this scenario.
And he's got a tackle piece, so he has at least one way of dealing with Skaven. He's healthier.
He has a Wrestle Agi 5 thing,
Yep.
so screens aren't as good against him, which I learned in the playoffs, so...
Yep. Yeah.
It's just going to be a rough game.
Nothing is scarier than an elf coach that knows exactly when and where to throw dice, so...
yeah.
Alright, so Salty Chips, take that. Winged Centaurs versus Rebel Orcs. Again, I think I favor the team with Claw here.
Yeah.
Aussie
Rebel
Viking.
Orcs. Let me take a look. Is that the one that has the dirty player blitzer? Yep.
Yep.
He has really good development, I would say. But it's just Chorfs.
Yeah, it's
Claw.
It's plenty of guard. He gets out-guarded by the Chorfs, and the Chorfs have one Claw Mighty Blow piece that's going to do work for him, so...
Yeah.
It's,
and then a movement 7 dirty player to foul anybody in sight.
Yep.
These foulers are just getting intense. I wish that I had a cool fouler piece, but no.
I wish I did too, but I got a strength up on one of my line orcs, and now I just don't have a good piece on the field to foul a lot of the time. Because it's
Fair
a strength
enough.
4 line orc. You don't want to foul with it.
Yeah.
Although I did in my last game, but we're not going to talk about that.
Did it not work out? Did he get binned?
Nah, he didn't get binned. It just didn't break armor because he was fouling a mummy. And even with assists, mummies are tough to break. So, oh, and actually, Salty Chips and Fluffy Fighting Force just ended and popped in. It was a 2-0 to Salty Chips. So congratulations, we're both right.
Yay!
So I guess we would have missed it anyway. But last but not least, Bifrost Guardians versus you. So Norse versus humans.
Yeah. So last season, because we're in the same division, we tied. It was a 0-0 tie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of armor breaks, just didn't get a lot of removals last season. I feel like my team is better now, and his just doesn't have a kill piece besides the Yeti.
He is giving up a little bit of inducements to you, although not a huge amount, because you do have some levels pending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Yeti is the scary thing. The Yeti could carve up your ogre and really control the pitch if he behaves. That's always a big if with a Yeti, but
yeah.
Yeah,
so
I could
this
see
game
this.
revolves around two things for me. It's whoever gets offense first and whoever can get more removals.
Yeah, I think with the way his team is set up, where it's not too much kill yet, I think you have the edge. Norse can play really swingy, where sometimes they just get an early advantage and never let it go. But it's going to be tougher for him to do that without the ability to get those early removals. So I think you too.
Yeah.
It's just... Yep, no deaths in Salty Chips versus Fluffy Fighting Force. So.
All right. Well, I can say that my game is scheduled for Friday night at 8:15 Mountain Time.
Okay, so I should be available to cast that, barring something crazy. Typically, I'm trying to have Friday evenings be like my normal stream time, post Herringzord doing his whole big thing, because it's a good prime time for REL, which no one currently really dedicated streams, although you got a few guys who do. But I do want to try to cast Miners when I can, because Miners doesn't get cast that often. So, yeah, just let me ping me in Discord when you go live, and if I'm not doing anything else, I will pop open the stream and cover it for you.
That will be fun.
Cool.
That'll be super fun. And then Angra, did you get any cool levels? Because I saw that you had a couple.
Yeah, let's see if he's still in chat. He is.
If Spicy Chip can just get something cool,
Well, let's take a look.
Yes.
Has he leveled them yet? He has not. Spicy Chip and Speedy Chip both got a level.
So he says that he has some cool levels. Do
Are
you
you
care
willing
to
to share them?
elaborate? Boxcars. Damn it. Oh my god, I hate you.
Oh, okay, that's a vampire witch.
Oh my gosh.
So that's nice. That is a great. That's an amazing piece. Now,
Oh my gosh. So there's a bounty board in minors, just so everybody knows. I'm the only one that's put something up on it yet. It was Chip, the Agi 5 thing. I might have to extend that to Spicy Chip.
you should see the majors bounty board. It's pretty hilarious. There are people who just mass bounty anything in their division that has mighty blow piling on, for instance. Like, um,
Oh.
it's yeah, it's good fun. But
He says no. Nobody gets to touch him.
cool.
Yeah, but somebody else needs to use the bounty board. Put some of those Agi 5 things in the EU on it. Let's see if they die.
Yeah, it's hopefully more people use the bounty board because it was good fun last season. I was the only one who actually had to pay something out to Zim's mutant war dancer that finally died. But yeah, it was good fun. Cool. So I think I will cut it there because I do have to jump off and do a couple work-related things before bed. But yeah, thank you again, TruBlu, for jumping on. It was good fun having you.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, thanks.
It's fun casting the game, and hopefully next time I won't fall behind.
Yeah, replay casting is always challenging, but thanks again to Ernadar for sending in their game, and congratulations on the win again. And congratulations, Angre, I guess, on taking a win as well and getting a stupid witch elf. And
yeah, that team is starting to, I think, to become the favorite in America.
It's definitely, the Dark Elf teams are showing up to play this season. So,
yeah.
To everybody else who has yet to play, which I think is pretty much everybody, best of luck this week. Again, feel free to ping me with your game times if you would like it to be casted. I cannot promise that I will be able to, but I will do my best. And thanks again for watching. I will see you guys next time.